When people hear pre-colonial Africa, one of the images that pops up on their head is an image of women sitting at home quietly while men made every decision. But if you had walked into any Igbo community before colonialism, you would have found something very different than the idea you had depicted in your head. You would have found women with power. Now, let's start with the market. Because in Igbo community, in Igbo lands, markets were not just places you go and buy no ose maji and ozo. They were economic institutions, information network. Markets were places wealth was built and influence traveled. A successful trader wasn't just selling goods. She was supporting her household, creating connections, and shaping local economies. But here's the part many people don't know. Igbo women also had assemblies, group where these women met, discussed collective matters, they settled disputes, they discussed community interests. And you would ask, what happens when the higher authorities ignore them? Well, these women would organize. So they had a tradition called sitting on a man. It's they don't literally sit on the men. They don't really sit on the men like that. But it was a gathering. They would gather, they would sing, they would protest, they would apply public pressure against any man who violated community expectations or abused power. In other words, women were not just some powerless observers. They were not just sitting down observing. They were participants in public life. And then colonialism came. And these British preferred to deal with male warrant chiefs and formal male structures. So because of that, the women's political channel was just weakened, ignored, or just simply pushed aside. And that's the reason the famous women's protest of the colonial era happened. Not because these women were demanding for power they never had. These women were demanding for the power and the influence they already possessed. So, when we tell the story of Igbo women before colonialism, let us tell the full story, please. Let us not tell story of silent observers, powerless observers. Let us tell story of traders, organizers, negotiators, community leaders. Let us tell story of women who understood that power was not always a throne. Sometimes it's a marketplace. Sometimes it's an assembly. And sometimes it's simply a gathering of women deciding that their voice must be heard. So I guess that's why the strength of Igbo women today feels so familiar. It didn't just appear out of nowhere. It has deep roots.